Hello and welcome to this YouTube presentation. I will tell you how to time hack your thesis writing and to get the grade you want in less time. I've based these insights on my own master's thesis writing, but I'm sure that you can also apply them to your own thesis writing, whether it be bachelor's or master's thesis writing, or why not also some other, for example, paper. Number one, set the goals. First, you need to set the goal of which grade do you want. Do you want to have the best grade, something in between, or even just go where the bar goes the lowest? So you have to decide which grade do you want. After that, you can around approximate how many pages that will take. So you need to set a target for your number of pages you're going to write. And then finally, the finishing date. Do you want to go fast? Do you want to give yourself some time? But you need to set some realistic finishing date, which you know that you can achieve it, even though it would be fast and maybe challenging. But a realistic goal, realistic finishing date is very important. Number two, routines. You need to decide when you will write, so which days of the week you're going to write. And it's very important, or I would at least very strongly suggest that you pick a day or days during the week when you will always be able to write during the same day, and also the same which time you will write. So how much time you will spend each time on writing. This will help you to speed up the process so that you don't have to think. You will always know intuitively, okay, this day and this time of the day, and for such and such long time, I'm going to work on my thesis. Number three, find a thesis instructor. So you will need to find a thesis instructor, and then you will need the thesis instructor to agree on the following points: your thesis writing goals, so the grade, the number of pages, and the date. Having a short weekly meeting working with Google Docs. This will help you to share the same file in real time with your thesis instructor, so you don't have many files to work on. And if they agree, then move to the next step. And if they don't agree, then you need to find another thesis instructor. This is a very crucial point. The thesis instructor is going to be the person who's going to tell you what to do, and they are going to help to, they are going to do a lot of thinking work for you, so it's very important that you find a suitable thesis instructor. Then, step number 4, find a thesis topic. Select initially some topic that interests you. Then go to Google Scholar and then find 3 example articles. Read them all through and select the most interesting article. Step number 5, decide your thesis topic. So you need to, in step number 4, you would select one article and then decide your topic upon that. Then present the topic to your thesis instructor. If they agree, move to step number 6, and if they don't agree, ask for advice, follow the advice, and then repeat step number 4. Step number 6, your thesis topic file. So you need to find an example master's thesis which has a similar topic as the topic that you've chosen, and with the grade you want. Sometimes you cannot know exactly or for sure what the grade for that master's thesis has been, but at least ask your thesis instructor, for example, that can you give me an example master's thesis that has attained a very high grade? This will spare a lot of thinking time for you. Then create a folder to Google Drive for your master's thesis file, and then also all the other master's thesis articles and books that you're going to be using. Then create a Google Docs file for your master's thesis. Then take and copy and paste the example master's degree, and then paste that to your Google Docs file. Keep the headlines and table of contents and delete all the text. So this will give you a skeleton to your master's thesis. And then adjust the headlines according to your own topic. And also, otherwise, you want to avoid plagiarism. So that's why it's also important that you adjust the headlines to some degree, so that you are not plagiarizing anyone else's work, but you can still use other people's thinking work to your own benefit. Step number 7, find material for your master's thesis. All right, so first you want to go to a website called Connected Papers. From there you can paste any article, any academic article, and you can see which sources that article has been using, and you can quickly access those sources with Connected Papers. Input the headline of your example article that you earlier selected. Then analyze that in Connected Papers, save all the useful articles that you can find from there, and then use those articles for finding more articles in the future, and when the need arises, also find books. So the idea here is that when you have selected a very narrow topic, there is going to be a lot of theory on that topic, but you're going to use the example article as basically for the same steps that you've already you're going to use that article you're going to use that article and their steps in your own master's thesis, so you will avoid reinventing the wheel, and for finding all the literature review and the needed theory for writing your master's degree. So in order to save time and to save in thinking work, this is the way to go. All right, so read and write. Always read and write at the same time. You want to avoid reading the same material over and over again, so always write at the same time. And how are you going to do that? Write always with citations. So always when you're writing, always use citations already. Which article was that? From which page, if you need that. So you will avoid going through the same material over and over again. And then always paraphrase. Use your own words so that you can take and paste those or use that material already in your own master's thesis. Then I highly recommend using Pomodoro 25 or Pomodoro technique, for example, writing for 25 minutes and taking a 5-minute break. It's a very demanding task to read and write, so you want to work smart, and don't exhaust yourself. Keep those breaks, and when you're supposed to work, then work. Yeah, so read and write at the same time, and here's a screenshot. So what I mean here is, for example, here I have an example article. You want to have it here side by side with your master's thesis file, and then always, while you're reading, then always write here to your master's thesis file, somewhere around where the text is useful. The writing strategy. So myself, I began with a literature review. So I didn't know anything about the theory that I would apply in my own research problem. I would just read about first the example article that I had chosen for my topic, and then I would use Connected Papers to find more articles about the same topic, read them through, read and write, and to get a better sense of the whole broad area. And then at the same time, when I was reading through the articles, I got a sense of the theory behind that, and I was then able to select also the material that I needed to write a robust enough theoretical section for my paper and get a good understanding of that. And also I was using books to do that, but that was after I've read the necessary or enough articles. And after the theory comes your research problem and all the other sections after that. So first, literature review, get a good enough understanding of the topic, then about the theory that you're going to apply to solve your own research problem, and then focus on the research problem itself. And the weekly iterations. Set a weekly target. And what do I mean by this? You want to set targets that drive progress. So these weekly targets are meant to help you to drive progress, to make sure that your thesis gets done on time. So bad targets are such targets that may seem to be useful, but they don't actually drive progress. For example, I will write X number of pages this week. Well, that may seem like a good target, but the target in itself doesn't ensure that you will have, for example, material to work on so that you will have X number of pages. Myself, I just used number of pages as a metric for my progress towards my goal. Another would be I will work 2 hours on the literature review. Again, that seems to be a good target, but that doesn't ensure that you will drive progress. I mean, you might be just sitting there, work on some, or look through some articles, actually just using your time very ineffectively. So just work in itself doesn't ensure that you will go forward. Good targets are the ones that actually drive progress, that are actionable, and they ensure that progress happens. So, for example, I will write notes based on 3 articles related to literature review. All right, this is better because you have defined that you will work on 3 articles and finish them and write your notes based on them. So this will ensure that you will actually write text and your thesis goes forward. Or I will write actively 2 hours on the literature review. So instead of saying that you will work 2 hours on the literature review, you will promise to write actively. Now that's something that already ensures progress. All right, and the weekly iterations will also include having meetings with the instructor on a weekly basis. And during those meetings, you should always tell the following things. So first, have a check, like where are you at the moment? What have you done so far? What did you promise to do this week? What you have done this week, so have you fulfilled your promise? And what will you do next week? And always just promise one thing. Ensure that the most critical thing gets done, and then you will receive feedback from your thesis instructor and also get their advice. So yeah, note, do only what the instructor requires you to do, no more or no less. Always just trust in your thesis instructor. I mean, they will know what it takes for you to write the thesis with the grade. Do keep in mind that they are very experienced in this field, so just rely on what they tell you to do. This will save your time in thinking, so just do what they're requiring you to do. Yeah, because it will save your time. And finally, iterate. So repeat step number, not 11, 10. So this slide, the weekly iterations, until you're complete. All right. And I took this quote, or university should teach you how to think, demonstrate how well your thinking works. So your thesis is your final demonstration of how your thinking capabilities have evolved. So why should you write a good thesis or any thesis at all? Well, it's a demonstration of how your time in the university has enhanced the tool, which is your mind. So that's my motivation, at least, for writing a good thesis. Thank you.